Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to all of you joining us here in the chapel and all of you there on YouTube. I'm Cynthia Hopkins. I'll be your worship leader for today. We're especially glad to have those of you who may be with us for the first time. Hope you enjoyed today's program and you'll come back and see us again sometime soon. Right now, please check your phones and make sure they are turned to vibrate or off. Otherwise, I'll have to sick Keene on you if it goes off during his talk today.
That would have been my phone, too.
Speaking of Keene, he is our speaker today, Keene Clay. He's been an active member of Eastrose, very active, since he joined in 2018. His hobbies include gardening, rock hounding, watercolor, and learning about our physical world. He says you can tell everyone he is happiest when he is a little bit sweaty, dirty, and tired, and he can see what he has accomplished. He finds pleasure in the awe and wonder created by observing the physical world. And his talk today is about getting grounded in place and time. And you're in for a real treat, because these are all in Oregon. Eastrose Fellowship gathers on the traditional homelands of the Clackamas, Chinook, and other indigenous peoples of this region. We acknowledge the harm of forced removal and honor the continuing presence, sovereignty, and resilience of Native communities, including the Chinook Indian Nation and the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde. May we be guided toward relationship, repair, and right action. Let's take a moment now and greet each other here in the chapel today in person and online. Let's stand up, turn around, and wave toward the camera by the clock on the wall. Hello, everybody out there. And now turn to your neighbor and say hello. For those of you online, if you'd like to share a joy or sorrow during that part of the service, you can do so by entering it in the YouTube chat, and it will be shared by the folks who are watching here for us in the office, and we will share it with everyone aloud. I also encourage you to please identify yourself by name in the chat so we can better acknowledge your presence with us today. Our call to worship here is by Gary Kowalski. We gather here to worship, to seek the truth, to grow in love, and to join in service, to celebrate life's beauty and find healing for its pain, to honor our kinship with each other and with the earth, to create a more compassionate world, beginning with ourselves, to wonder at the mystery that gave us birth, to find courage for the journey's end, and to listen for the wisdom that guides us in the quietness of this moment. Let us prepare for worship as we listen to the prelude. Now for the chalice lighting. We light this flame to remind us love is the center. As we grow and connect, mature and deepen, love is our center. When the light of truth burns all else away, love endures. A responsive reading is entitled Hymn to Matter by Teilhard de Chardin. And you will read the white, and I will read the gold. Blessed be you, harsh matter, barren soil, stubborn rock, you who yield only to violence, you who force us to work if we would eat. Blessed be you, perilous matter, violent sea, untamable passion, you who, unless we fetter you, will devour us. Blessed be you, mighty matter, irresistible march of evolution, reality ever newborn. You, constantly shattering our mental categories, force us to go ever further and further in our pursuit of the truth. Blessed be you, universal matter, unmeasurable time, boundless ether, triple abyss of stars and atoms and generations. You who by overflowing and dissolving our narrow standards of measurement reveal to us the dimensions of God. Okay, please rise as you are willing and able in body or spirit and sing number 163 in the gray hymnal, For the Earth Forever Turning. And I'm not sure how familiar we are with this tune, so maybe you could play it through just once, Micah?
I can do a little intro.
Yeah.
morning. Today I'm wondering if you have ever been outside and found a rock that fit perfectly in your hand. Maybe you picked it up because it was smooth, or it was cool looking, or somehow it just felt right. Well, before it found its way into your hand, it probably took thousands or millions of years to become the rock that it is today. Isn't that amazing? Every stone has a story to tell. We can only imagine how it was shaped by the elements, how the land around it changed, and what plants, animals, and people may have encountered it before us. Today's story is called A Stone Sat Still by Brendan Wenzel. A stone sat still with the water, grass, and dirt, and it was as it was, where it was in the world. And the stone was dark, and the stone was bright, and the stone was loud, and the stone was quiet. And it sat where it sat with the water, grass, and dirt, and it was as it was, where it was in the world. And the stone was rough, and the stone was smooth. And the stone was green, red, purple, and blue. And the stone was a pebble, and the stone was a hill, and the stone was a feel, and the stone was a smell. And it sat where it sat with the water, grass, and dirt, and it was as it was, where it was in the world. And the stone was the wild, and the stone was a home, and the stone was a kitchen, and the stone was a throne, and the stone was a marker, and a map, and a maze, a danger, a haven, a story, a stage. And the stone was a blink, and the stone was an age. And the stone was an island, and the stone was a wave. And the stone was a memory, and the stone was always. Have you ever known such a place where with water, grass, and dirt, a stone sits still in the world? May we remember that sometimes what we see depends on who is looking. And now it's time to sing the children out to RE. If the adults along the center aisle will form a bridge, we'll sing them out.
And now Keene is going to take us into silent and spoken meditation.
You can do this as you wish. If you wish to do it with breathing, that's great. If you want to close your eyes and just go where I ask you to go, or where you choose to go, please do that. This is just a quiet time for all of us to reflect together. What I would like you to do, I believe we all have spirit places, places where we retire to when we want quiet, peace. It may be a forest, it may be a hilltop, it may be your backyard, it may be a friend's house, it may be a family hug. I want you to go there for a moment and just be there, and I am going to be quiet while you're there, while you relive and relish that thought, that place. As you come back from that place, bring some of your peace with you. Hold on to it and take it back out into the world with you when you go. It is important to go and find that, hold it, keep it, and know that it's always available. Thank you. I need a roadmap. Tonight, we're going to go ahead and do the Spirit Spot song, which is Spirit of Life. There is a version of English and then of Spanish. So we're going to do both versions, both parts. So if you would like to go ahead with that.
Today's reading is from Black Elk, a revered Oglala Lakota holy man and spiritual leader. Then I was standing on the highest mountain of them all, and round about beneath me was the whole hoop of the world. And while I stood there, I saw more than I could tell and understood more than I saw, for I was seeing in a sacred manner the shape of all things in the spirit, and the shape of all shapes as they must live together like one being. And I saw that the sacred hoop of my people was one of many hoops that made one circle, wide as daylight and as starlight, and in the center grew one mighty flowering tree to shelter all the children of one mother and one father. And I saw that it was holy.
We live in a beautiful place. We live at a privileged and precarious time. We worship on the shores of a major waterway and among the rocks and gravels carried by ancient, unimaginable floods. We stand on the epic basalt flows hidden by ash from local volcanoes. We can easily take it for granted. It makes me richer to be able to appreciate our brief stay in this special area. I hope to enrich that view by adding layers of geology, history, and epic events, both as part of our far history and our relatively recent past, that affected our native occupants and continue to influence our lives. I hope to encourage awe, amazement, and a sense of wonder every time you look up, down, or out. Could we get some music, please? Dramatic music, please. "65 million years ago, the West Coast and much of the US and the rest of life on this planet was reordered by an asteroid hitting in the area that is now Mexico. Land and lives were reset. 60 million years ago, this area was underwater as part of a long, sweeping plain that reached east to the granite basement rocks of Idaho. Some of Oregon landforms, much older than the rest of the state, and were formed as island arcs, rafted in, smashed in, crashed in, and were attached to the shoreline of Oregon. I have collected ammonite fossils in Central Oregon that are about 360 million years old on a landform surrounded by 60 million year old rock. 50 million years ago, volcanoes were developed in the area around current-day Prineville. Over the next 40 million years, they created thousands of feet of ash beds that are currently the Painted Hills and John Day fossil beds in eastern Oregon. The whole new group of life forms flourished in eastern Oregon and Washington, leaving a significant fossil record that covers about 40 million years. I strongly recommend the trip to the John Day Fossil Beds and Museum, which is in eastern Oregon. During this period, mountains started to form throughout the region, and the land started to rise. The oceanic plates continued to subduct under the basement rocks of the continent. Rivers continued to flourish while cutting through the rising mountain ranges. Do you want to just stay for me? Dramatic music, please. Perfect. 16 million years ago, a hot spot formed in southeast corner of what is now Oregon. The caldera was over 60 miles in diameter. Over the next 2 million years, it shapeshifted and re-erupted into nearby locations with equally gargantuan calderas. At the same time, basaltic lava flows from a system of gigantic fissures along the Oregon-Idaho border and up into Washington started to erupt. Basaltic lava erupted in very hot fluid form and flowed hundreds of miles and filled the central area of Oregon and Washington in layers thousands of feet thick and created what is now the Columbia Basin. One of the things that is interesting there is as it flowed out, it was so heavy that it compressed the earth and it made a basin. And then the next layer would come in and fill that basin, flow a little further, and then it would compress further. And the next layer, and the next layer, and the next layer. And each of these layers could be anywhere from 50 to 1,000 feet thick of basalt that was erupting through huge fissures along the Oregon-Idaho border that had just cracked. It's like there was a crack in the earth there. I'll get to that one later in a minute. Some of these basalt flows followed river valleys all the way to the coast and created what are now the classic headlands of the Oregon coast and created the layered basalt flows visible throughout the Columbia Gorge. You can see the basalt cliffs there. Just imagine the fact that those started 200 miles away and traveled en masse and then finally stopped there and cooled in that location. And keep in mind, look at the vertical folding in those, the vertical columns in those. That comes up in a minute. We reside at the top of some of these flows. Geologists have identified 25,000 major fissures along that released lava along the east side of Oregon and Washington. I have seen some of these source fissures, and they're very visible, and have eroded out to stand hundreds of feet tall and run for miles up and down the hillsides of eastern Oregon. I was out rock handling, my wife was with me. I was describing these to her, and I said that the key factor here to look for is you see a large column of rock, and all of the basalt is horizontal instead of vertical. And what you're looking at there is a fissure that had come up through the native soil, and instead of cooling top to bottom the way most basalt flows do, they cooled side to side, so your columns are side to side. And they look kind of like a wood pile, a great big, huge wood pile. And she said, and I'd never seen one before. And she said, "You mean like that?" And so we pulled over and walked up to it, and we looked at it, and literally it was hundreds of feet tall, and if you backed up a little bit, you could see it going up and over the next hill, and the next hill, and the next hill, and you turn around, you look the other direction, and it was going over the next hill and the next hill. It was gargantuan, and you could start to understand how much lava really could have come out of these and how fast they would have flowed, especially when this was one of a bunch of them. So, we reside on top of some of these flows. Geologists have identified, over the past 15 million years, the continental plate has gradually moved west and a little bit to the south, creating a series of hotspot volcanoes through Idaho and creating the Snake River Plain. They include the Oahe Uplands, Hubbard Complex, Idaho Falls Complex, and ending with the current hotspot volcano we currently call Yellowstone. It started in Oregon. It is an Oregon export. Why didn't we just keep it here and blow the place up? At the same time, starting at the same general area of southeast Oregon and developing in a northwest direction, we have a string of volcanic structures that include Glass Buttes, which is truly a mountain of obsidian, and ending with the double water-filled calderas and the extensive volcanic field at Newberry Volcano, complete with walkable obsidian flow that is only about 1,300 years old. The whole area south of Bend is pockmarked by a single vent of cinder cones that erupt and die. It is interesting to note that if you extend that line of volcanic structures out a little bit further, you have the Three Sisters, which is probably the next thing that is going on there. We live in the shadow of and on the slopes of the Cascade Range of volcanoes. This volcanic arc was developed in the last 2 million years, and some volcanoes, such as Mount St. Helens, are estimated to be a very recent development, like 2,000 years or less. There are about 2,000 different volcanic locations along 600 miles of volcanoes and volcanic vents that are fed by the subducting oceanic plate. We can marvel at and identify many significant peaks in our area. Dramatic music, please. All of the major volcanoes we see in the Northwest region and Washington have erupted in the last 3,500 years. Many are active and will probably erupt again in near geologic time. Doesn't mean tomorrow. Could be. There is a major eruption every 50 to 100 years along the Cascade Range. Beacon Rock in the Gorge is a vent of a volcano that erupted 4,700 years ago. Larch Mountain is a significant shield volcano hiding in plain sight on the northeast corner of the greater Portland area that erupted 2.7 million years ago. There's an easy hike to the top from Larch Mountain Road that has a huge view from the summit. In Portland, we live on the slopes of smaller volcanic vents of the boring volcanic field that erupted and then went extinct. There are 80 recognized volcanic structures. 20 are in the city limits of Portland. The Portland area volcanic field started about 2.7 million years ago and last erupted at Mount Tabor 57,000 years ago, and it is still considered an active volcano. Mount Tabor? Mount Tabor. There's a on the side, there's a basketball court at the top of Mount, right here. That's not Tabor, but anyway, the basketball court is in the caldera of that particular thing. Rocky Butte, it's up on Rocky Butte. It's in the caldera of the Rocky Butte volcano. Crater Lake was formed, as we know, by a cataclysmic eruption 7,000 years ago and has had several eruptions since that time. The obsidian flow at Newberry Crater, south of Bend, happened 1,300 years ago. Mount Hood was erupting when Lewis and Clark came down the Columbia in 1805. Lassen had a major eruption in 1914, and many of us remember St. Helens in 1980 as an epic lifetime experience. All of these were witnessed by resident cultures. If we stick around, we are not done as witnesses to Earth's power of destruction and rejuvenation. Let's take a little more recent. Archaeologists have dated rock shelters in East Bend at 18,500 years. Archaeologists found sagebrush sandals in a cave in eastern Oregon that have been dated to about 14,500 years ago, and those sandals are in a museum down in Eugene on the campus. Coprolites, which is human fossil dung, have been dated to 10,000 years in actually it's 20,000 years in eastern Oregon. Kennewick man, a prehistoric human found about 9,500 years ago, from about 9,500 years ago, was found on the banks of the Columbia, complete with a spear point that had healed into his hip. Native tribes have truly been here for a very long time, and genetic structures are starting to show that they are all connected, that they also, the ancestors, the forms of the bodies have changed, but the genetics are still there. Music, please. Good. At the end of the last ice age, about 15,000 years ago, an ice flow dammed the Spokane River near eastern Montana. The resulting lake grew to 2,000 feet deep and the size of Lake Erie. Ice floats. And one fine day, the dam broke and released the water in a deluge that took 2 weeks to empty the lake. The flood, carrying icebergs, boulders, silt, and anything else that was in its path, flowed at over 50 miles per hour. On the way, it picked up other lakes and stripped hundreds of feet of topsoil off the state of Washington and carried it to the Willamette Valley and on out to the ocean. This unimaginable gigantic flood stripped the ground to the bedrock and proceeded to rip layers of basalt up to 400 feet thick, creating a unique geologic pattern throughout Washington, Oregon, and the Columbian Basin and to the coast. And the story of that, if you go to read it, it's called the Baltz floods or the Palouse floods or the Missoula floods. Look it up. It's the whole story of how it was figured out and the politics of how it was figured out and how it changed the view of geology. Basically, it showed that cataclysmic events do change landscapes, and it's not just always a slow pattern like people used to believe. Dramatic music, please. Very nice. The water backed up in the gorge near the Dalles and rose to a depth of over 800 feet. Topping over places like Beacon Rock and Crown Point, and eventually spilling out into the Columbia Basin at speeds of over 40 miles per hour and over 400 feet thick. And it had kind of the consistency of wet cement because of all the stuff it had picked up. It wasn't like this little flood of water pouring through and rippling around. It was a raging torrent. It proceeded to scour and overflow the Portland area, depositing a thick layer of gravel and basalt cobbles that created gigantic gravel bars like those west of Rocky Butte to the Lloyd Center and the ridge that Foster Road follows to southeast Portland. If you put a large stone in a stream, it slows the stream and gravel forms behind it to create a little gravel bar. And if you have a slower area on the side of the stream, it will push the gravel up there and create an embankment. Basically, behind Rocky Butte, thinking of it as a stone in the stream, it created a gravel bar that we build on that is hundreds of feet deep and all the way down to the river. And Lloyd Center, and I think it's the Dunthorpe region down there, is built on top of it, but it's pretty amazing. The floods carved river channels, which is I-84 down to downtown, passes through a river channel that was carved by the floods. And ultimately a temporary lake that backed up to Eugene with numerous gigantic gravel bars. Much of the fine, thick Willamette soils were delivered by these floods. It stops at the 400-foot level, which was the height of the floodwaters at their peak. The further you travel from the gorge, the finer the gravel and silt. Anyone or anything or any culture in its path would have been swept away and pulverized with no trace left. At that time, it is likely that native populations on the river were growing. Trading would have been common. The area would have been resource rich. They would have heard an ominous, unfamiliar roar and looked up to see a wall of water and had no time to respond. Native cultural stories include the floods. We can see the effects of these floods when we view the sheer cliffs and waterfalls of the Columbia Gorge. We see them in Coke lakes that were made when the basalt was torn out and left sinkholes that filled up in groundwater. Think Lake Oswego. Basically, it is a channel from this side of the West Hills to the other side of the West Hills, where it topped the West Hills and created an outflow into the Tualatin area and created the lakes in Lake Oswego in the process. We see the effects in the benches along the edge of the, We see the effects in the benches along the edge of the Columbia River where our church sits and the gigantic boulders that were deposited on these benches. We may have also missed, or I may have missed, talking about Palouse Falls and the Dry Falls. If you look at Dry Falls, it is a waterfall 400 feet tall, 7 miles across with no water source. And it all was carved in a matter of weeks. If you look at the way those floods go, they would go over the edge and they would come up underneath and they would undercut the basalt and pick it up and pull it out, and then the top would break. And they would go downstream miles in a very short period of time. If you look at Palouse Falls, you look at the falls, and you turn around, you look downstream, and that was all a new channel that was cut. When it diverted the Palouse River, and the river had gone one direction, it topped over a cliff, cut through the cliff, and it made a shortcut to the Snake River. And it literally changed the course of the river, and what you're looking at there was probably carved in a matter of weeks. Probably by the first or major floods that happened there. We see the effects of the benches along the edge of the Columbia River where our church sits, and in the gigantic boulders that were deposited on those benches. If you look at that boulder right there, it's sitting in our yard right back here. And it is just a pebble. in a flood. That's all it was. It was deposited here, and they had to probably move it out of the way when they were constructing the church, and they moved it as far as they had to get it out of the way. And there are other smaller boulders on the property that are also river tumbled, very, very similar in nature to it, that would undoubtedly have come from that same thing and deposited here. And again, the further you get away from here, the smaller the pebbles. In Rockwood, where I used to live, there was a thing that an item that we used to call the Rockwood potatoes, and you start digging down in the gravel, and there were these rounded rocks that are about the size of a potato or a small squash or whatever, but they were just these rounded pieces of basalt that were deposited not very randomly, but pretty thickly throughout that area. And we're living on and standing on a rock pile that's hundreds of feet thick right where we're at. We're also standing in a location where the water would have been probably 300 feet deep at the height of the floods. And if you just stop to think about 300 feet of water going up, we're not talking about a trickle. And now the punchline. Dramatic music, please. Oh, yes. The ice dam reformed. The lake returned. The ice floated again, and the floods repeated at intervals of about 50 to 100 years over a period of 3,000 years. These floods repeated each one devastating to any creature or culture reliant on the river. We live in a world directly affected by these events in the not so distant past. We live in an active and changing land, full of wonders and risks. We can live in dread or we can live in awe. We can see the problems of the moment, or we can see the long and active canvas that we have only recently and briefly had an effect on. We are surrounded by beauty and wonder. We are surrounded by processes that don't care that we are here. We have an exceptional example of the power of nature and its ability to regenerate and draw on when seeing our place in the bigger picture. We can appreciate what has been created for us to be part of, to be open to, and live in awe and wonder. I have one last thing. This is going to be a second shared reading. I will read the first line of it, and you will read the second. You are here.
It is a miracle.
If a miracle is an event beyond chance,
You are a miracle.
if a miracle is a happening that defies logic,
You are a miracle.
if a miracle defies understanding,
You are a miracle.
if a miracle is a place or event that stands firm on an invisible foundation,
We live in a miracle.
we are uniquely aware of time and space.
It is a miracle.
Strive to appreciate the miracle we live in.
We are here.
All right, we'll have our closing hymn. Thank you for entertaining me. And we'll sing hymn number 21. I think is it the gray hymnal?
Yes.
Okay, for the beauty of the earth.
Before we move on to the collection, I want to just say that it was about a year and a half ago, or maybe 2 years ago, Keene knew that I was up in that part of the country where Palouse Falls is, and he texted me, he says, "Don't come home until you go see that." And so we went there, and I was just overwhelmed by the beauty and the majesty, and I never knew there was such a thing as that. It was just, thank you for that, and thank you for all you shared with us today. So now it's time for the offering. And most of you know we share 1/4 of the cash offering with a local organization doing good works in the community. Portland Immigration Rights Coalition is our Sharing the Bounty partner from March through August. They work to empower immigrants, unite families, and build a just community. PIRC maintains a hotline to report ICE activity, provides referrals to legal aid and social services, trains rapid response migra watchers, and maintains a daily presence at the Portland Immigration Court and ICE building. If you're online, you can donate by visiting our website and clicking the donate button, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. And if you're here for the first time, we invite you to let the basket pass and truly be our guest. The gifts of the congregation will now be most gratefully received. Please remain seated and sing our song of gratitude, 110 in the green teal hymnal. We give thanks. The words will be on the screen. Eric has brought bags of plums from his trees. They're in the narthex. Please take some home. You say please take one home. Eric, where is he? He's probably, oh, there. Yeah, but they're bags, and, like, that would only, just take 1 or 2 plums, come on, share. Anyway, beware, he says, they are very juicy. So you've been warned. Okay. I want to thank everybody that participated in today's service, and particularly Micah, who got these instructions at the last minute about dramatic music from our speaker. Yes, very good. See, that's what happened when you did that at the auction, then he got that idea, so. Okay. So there's lots of things going on at Eastrose and in the community, and you can find them on pedals. If you didn't get it in your email, it is on our website, and you can go there and find out about hikes and get-togethers and all kinds of good things. Anyway, let's now have our unison benediction, and Keene is going to lead us in that. Take it, Keene.
I have one more twist for today. And that is, most of us know this benediction. Most of us have read it many times. And instead of reading it to the wall, I wanted to turn to each other and say it to each other as you read it, to the best of your ability. okay? Because that is what this is about. It's about sending each other off with goodwill and good hopes. So we will start. Go out into the world in peace. Have courage. Hold on to what is good.
Return to no person evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Honor all beings.
Thank you.
And you get to give the invitation.
We're going to have coffee afterwards in the Thatcher Room on the other end of the building, and we hope you will all come. And whether you drink coffee or not, I would invite you to come and enjoy the conversation and let us get to know you better. So please come join us, and we will now have a little bit of, I'm looking at the wrong page here. I was going to start all over, you guys were in trouble. Oh, we need to
We need to do the benediction.
benediction. Would you do that?
Yeah.
That's yours.
Okay, we'll leave with a unison benediction. We just did this, my dear. We just did this. We're gonna extinguish the chalice is that's what he's after. See, this is what happens when you have amateurs up here.
When somebody disrupts the program.
Anyway, we extinguish this chalice knowing that its light does not go out as we leave here. We take it with us. We carry the love with us. Thank you. Go have some plums, some coffee, tea.
Yes. Do we have one more musical interlude?
All right, now go have coffee.